So it's been a minute since I've uploaded a video, and the main reason for that is that last month I was given the opportunity to cast the Fragpunk Global Invitational, a $150,000 tournament in Hangzhou, China, where the top 8 teams from around the world came together to compete to see what the best players in Fragpunk are made of. Now that the dust has settled, I wanted to take a look back, not just at what went down in China, but what this event showed us about Fragpunk as a competitive shooter. What makes this game different from anything else out there at the highest level of competition. As a full-time esports coach and caster, I'm working on a ton of cool content like this when I'm not away competing or casting at international tournaments. So I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. I read every single comment as well, so let me know what you think and what videos you'd like to see next. First off, let's recap what this tournament was. A formal international esports LAN that took teams from all over the world to compete for an insane prize pool in Fragpunk. That in and of itself isn't necessarily unique, but remember that this is the first time that we were truly able to see the chaos and unapologetic RNG of shard cards being used in a high-stakes tournament, with real cash on the line. But that same chaos that makes Fragpunk stand out from other shooters in the first place is also the reason that a lot of people had questions about this game's potential as an esport. Can a game with unpredictable mechanics like shard cards actually work as a serious esport? Let's talk about it. On day 1, the first round of matches gave us a clean look at how each team approached the game and how wide the skill expression in Fragpunk really is across all the different regions. In match 1, Conquest versus Imaginator, we saw the cards first, strats second style that we were expecting from China's debut on the world stage. But even with those expectations in place, it still caught Conquest off guard hard. On day 1, we learned that Imaginator had some tricks up their sleeves. Even though teams had played them in scrims, they were hiding their real strategies and performance for the stage. The regional differences began to be highlighted here as well. Whereas the high life has been the meta in the West, the Eastern teams stuck to the Resolver, which carried a ton of impact in even just the first map alone. Ending in a quick 2-0, the bar was set incredibly high from the very first match for our teams coming out of China. But match 2 was the biggest upset of day 1. Despite coming into the event confident off scrim results, Avengers were completely overwhelmed by DMS. Map 1 was a quick 6-0 sweep on Black Market, with DMS bringing out Sonar and really showing hard focus on post plants. And on round 1 of map 2, we saw one of the most iconic plays that has quickly taken over the meta, where DMS pulled Clone Tech and with 5 dexes turned Fragpunk into a survival horror game.
Bobino does as well, and DMS, they just close in. The first round's already done.
First match of DMS was a pretty big wake-up call for the team. We definitely could have played better. Being on stage for the first time for a lot of my teammates, I think the anxiety took control, really screwed up our cohesion as a team. But we all stopped playing strats and listening to comms. It was a big mental game for a lot of our players, and we really had to lock in for day 2 because we obviously didn't want to get eliminated first day, but we just needed to rethink a lot of our practice and formulate our plan, because the meta during the scrims and the meta during the tournament was 2 entirely different play styles, and so we just had to swap around a lot of our decision making, the strats, the calls. But yeah, I think we did on day 2. We pulled it together.
Next up was Work in Silence versus Solo Leveling. This series concluded with a decisive 2-0 sweep in favor of Work in Silence, which was very surprising given Solo Leveling's undefeated regional run. Solo Leveling struggled with predictability, unable to adjust their scanning and default control habits, which Work in Silence exploited relentlessly. This match cemented Work in Silence's reputation and spotlighted the Brazilian scene's strength. But this was also the start of Solo Leveling's anime arc, and would not be the last time that we'd see this matchup. We then got to see the last 2 teams go at it. DPS First and Last Chance. This series was easily the most entertaining of day 1. The first map went to the duels, and we even had our first map 3 here, where Last Chance pulled off a 2-1 upset over the heavily favored DPS First. Map 1 on Alquette was a back and forth battle that ended up 6-5 for DPS First after a fierce duel. But with Last Chance playing hard into their cards, they locked in to make sure that the next rounds did not get to the duels. Map 2 on Outpost saw LC dominate with a 6-1 win. Tundra almost went all the way to a second duel, but against all odds in the last round, LC's mental resilience proved EU's strength on the big stage.
Somehow they turn it around. Fusco again on an insane frog. 1v3 right now. We have a chance to get the job done right here and now.
When we knew our opponents, we understood that they were Seed 1 China. We didn't have too much to review on them because they're in a complete different region and it was really limited to what we could see from them. So we mainly focused on improving our own gameplay together as a whole. Aket is one of our weakest maps, so we understood that we're gonna probably lose it. After we were 5-2 down and we pulled it back into overtime, even though we lost in overtime, I'm not sure if the camera showed it, we're looking at each other and we were actually happy and laughing. It sounds crazy to be happy and laughing, like as you lose a game in a best of 3 series, but we were genuinely really impressed with how we could actually fix our mental. After our victory, we felt like we were almost unstoppable. It was China's Seed 1 team, and it was potentially one of the best teams in the series. So we were exhilarated, and we were looking forward to playing our next matches.
With the first matchups out of the way for day one, the bracket was finally starting to take form. And while nobody was going home on day one, the upper bracket matches were even crazier upsets than anything else that we'd seen up to this point. Both Imaginator and DMS came into this series having not dropped a map in the event so far, but the narrative here was all about how much Imaginator had studied DMS. Map 1 on Black Market was DMS's pick, but after an early strong round from DMS, Imaginator adapted fast, retaking sites with clean team play and really min-maxing every shard point. The only rounds Imaginator lost were those where they could not get the cards that would put DMS at a disadvantage, which is why one of the few rounds that DMS won was where Imaginator let Clone Tech through and allowed DMS to play with 5 dexes. Map 2 on Tundra introduced new dynamics, with Imaginator pushing fast mid-control pretty much every time, and while DMS did force it into the duels, Imaginator took the win after Asaki cleared 3 all by himself. To finish off day 1, Work in Silence versus Last Chance showed us the closest scientifically possible 2-0, with both maps ending in duels. On Dongtian, we saw hyper-aggressive defenses from LC being easily dealt with by Work in Silence, but it all came down to the wire, with the last 2 players on each team at full HP in the duels. Map 2 on Black Market was equally intense, but once again, it came down to the duels. And LC had very clearly been practicing duels up by this point, because Taikek's clutch 3 in a row, securing LC's 3rd duel win of the day. And while Work in Silence didn't take the win from this one, they ended the day knowing that they would come back as a terrifying dark horse in the lower bracket.
So basically our mindset in this lower bracket was to be strong as possible because the lower bracket is never easy for anyone. We knew at that moment that the lower bracket will test us. The Brazilians is cheering for us like the whole country. We got our strength there in the Brazilian crowd, in the chat with TCK and all this stuff. We felt the most inspirational moments of our lives, of our career, because we traveled so far away to be there and to deliver our best. So we felt huge inspiration at the moment. In tournaments like this, every single match is an opportunity to deliver our best and win. So we faced the lower bracket as the winner bracket. We knew at the lower bracket that will be difficult, but we can do this. And we did it to the finals.
And you could feel that energy coming from their side of the stage as they walked out on day 2 for the lower bracket. But they weren't the only ones bringing the heat, because day 2's lower bracket was a story of 2 arcs. Solo Leveling's anime protagonist run and Work in Silence's methodical grind. Solo Leveling shook things up by knocking out DPS first in a wild 2-to-1 fashion, showing how they could read card pools and adapt mid-map just as fast, and actively scouting out favorable 1v1s. And with Tuboshu able to get clean aggro plays on Corona pretty much every time, there was nothing that DPS first could do. Meanwhile, Work in Silence dismantled the Avengers with aggressive map control, covering every angle on Tundra and lulling the Avengers into a false security before going full serious. Work in Silence consistently leveraged oppressive cards like Weapon Ban and Time-Saving Skill in order to make sure that even when the Avengers was making worthwhile moves, they were punished for them, and tried to really reconcile the shortcomings that brought them into the lower bracket in the first place.
I would say, first of all, big ups to WS as a team on stage and like backstage and stuff like that. They're such good people, but their vibes are so high that their mental cannot be broken. Very strong mental wise, and them on stage with like comms and stuff like that. You can definitely see it during our match. They played super well. Overall for our team, I would say it was a great experience. A lot of our teammates was our first time like being on stage, and it's like really good practice for them, but also when they get in that same situation again in the future, they can draw on that experience and have a good takeaway.
The story of 2 arcs continued as Solo Leveling's anime arc kept rolling, narrowly avoiding elimination against DMS in the final 1v1 of the Map 2 duels. Solo Leveling clawed it back on Tundra thanks to some incredible macro control, taking advantage of timeouts and converting them into instant round wins, and bringing out every single piece of nerd util like nitro walls to make the most of their map control. But they weren't safe just yet, because in the very next match, Work in Silence met them again for a rematch. And on Yggdrasil, Work in Silence shut Solo Leveling down 6-2, reading their plays and punishing either Axon or Corona's early deaths. But after some incredible heroics from Solo Leveling, the series did go to map 3, where Work in Silence's relentless aggression and commitment to original plans earned them a 6-3 victory.
In the first day of the competition, we let these problems getting in our mind, and some things snowballed for our game style and our gameplay. For the second day, we talked a lot as a team and tried to understand what happened, because it's not game style sided, it's more about our mind. And for the first match against Solo Leveling, we basically knew how these guys play, because we watched these guys a lot and we understand what we can face. This delivers the victory for us.
The big takeaway so far moving into the upper bracket finals was that every team that won on day 1 found ways to adapt quickly, to read card pools and opponents on the fly, and to force fights on their own terms. It's been a masterclass not just in mechanics, but in knowing how to put your team at good odds no matter what happened the round before. The upper bracket finals kept that theme going. Adaptations and fast reads were everything. Last Chance had been one of the best teams at adjusting all event long, but this time even they couldn't fully crack Imaginator's shifting pace and deep prep. Imaginator took the 2-0 victory, but both maps were nail-biters. On Yggdrasil, LC kept it incredibly close, but Imaginators put it all on the line in the final round to prevent LC from getting a duel that they would probably have won. Tundra was LC's map, and Imaginators could not stop the duel from happening this time, but here Asaki did it again, taking out 3 on his own, proving that Imaginators absolutely owned the duels. And this series proved that China's style of cards first and strats later could bend even the best European teams under pressure.
When we knew we were going to play the Imaginators, we had a bit of digging to do, because we could finally actually review some very recent games, and we noticed they have a very, very passive playstyle on certain parts of the map, and they play really heavy for retake. So their utility was really insane for retake, and we had to try and punish that. There's not a playstyle that we're used to playing against, so we tried to come up with something on the get-go, but it wasn't enough this time, and we thought that maybe by the time we're going to play them again, we would have a better chance at it. This is actually the first time as a team that we have lost a series to anyone. We tried to challenge it in a way that we made sure no one was too annoyed or too upset about it going into the next games.
The lower bracket finals flipped expectations on their head, and while many predicted another close 3-map slugfest, Work in Silence came out swinging and swept Last Chance 2-0. On Tundra, LC's map pick turned out to be a misstep, as Work in Silence's defense was airtight from their previous matches. Reading LC's pushes and denying post-plant control, Work in Silence's unpredictable Lancer swaps, especially Belky flexing multiple picks, kept LC guessing. And here, Rhythm was just a menace on Axon, punishing every single hesitation that LC had, while Mido7 once again proved to be the MVP anchor, making sure to get more than 1 kill on every single round. Yggdrasil was more of the same, where Work in Silence locked in and controlled mid and shut down LC's attempts to force duels. And in the final round, we saw Work in Silence really take advantage of Dragon's Breath and anti-healing bullets to close it out in style.
Since we already 2-0'd Work in Silence, we thought it would have been more of a breeze, and we were heavily mistaken. We didn't really spend as much time as we should have reviewing them, because the finals were really close, and we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't lose to Imaginators again. Especially since the first time we 2-0'd them, it was in duels, and we should have respected them a lot more. We are super grateful for the event. It was the staff, the competitors, even the casters and all the streamers, they were all super positive, and it was amazing to meet everyone. Honestly, the best week of my life. So I'm really grateful. Yeah, I'd like to thank Fragpunk from the bottom of my heart.
And we finally made it to the Grand Finals. The Grand Finals was the ultimate showdown between Imaginator's calculated aggression and Work in Silence's passionate lower bracket grind. Despite Work in Silence's momentum, Imaginator did sweep this series 3-0. Cementing themselves as the champions. Map 1 on Yggdrasil was razor close, going to a duel where Imaginators did take the W, but on Black Market, we saw Imaginators split their post-plant setups to avoid Work in Silence's stat clears that they had shown in their previous matches, with Chen Momo again popping off on Axon. And finally, on Dongtian, Work in Silence tried to change pace, but Imaginator read every move, closing the series out with a decisive 6-1 win. Imaginator's ability to not only read the shard card picks really early, but figure out what Work in Silence would try to do with each card got better after each map. And Chen Momo earned the title of the best Axon in the world.
It's not an excuse, but if we had more time to study these guys, I think the result is gonna be different. The whole experience of the finals was so good. Like, we felt so good because we had this lower bracket run. It's hard for us because we travel like the whole world to be there, and I can guarantee for everyone who's cheering for us and the whole Brazilian community, we deliver 100% of us in every match. We deliver our best, and we felt so grateful for the whole experience because this is the most important for us, for our career, to be there, to compete, to understand what are our limits and push these limits forward. And all I have is gratitude for everyone to this experience.
Passing this event all the way back from the NA qualifiers until the finish made one thing really clear. Fragpunk's Chaos is more than just some gimmick. It is a skill test. Shard cards might be random as far as not knowing what's going to show up or when, but that doesn't mean that they're unpredictable to play around. And while it is 100% true that some rounds are won or lost in the card phase, good teams don't vote for chaos, they vote for control. The teams who went the furthest weren't just the best aimers or the ones that could just push the most aggressively, but the ones who adapted the fastest, learning not only how to manipulate shard cards, but how to get in the enemy's heads and knowing how the other team would try to play around each card. Imaginator showed that no matter what cards get thrown at you, it's more important to try to figure out what your enemy is going to do than what you are. And if you forget that the cards exist, you will be punished for it. And the best part is that there is even more opportunities for skill expression and chaos now than ever before in Fragpunk Season 2. In Season 2, we have a new map, it's Zamna, a new Lancer, Hurricane, as well as some insane new cards like Rigged Duels, which brings the duel mechanic out in the middle of the match. And my personal favorite, Converter Thievery, which lets the defenders plant the converter so you could just diffuse it on your own terms. And don't think that the devs have stopped cooking, because Wave 2 of the Season 2 shard cards just dropped, and there's some really wild ones here as well, like Painkiller, which blocks all of the damage that you take for 3 seconds, but then after those 3 seconds, it hits you all at once. Crazy. And with free new seasons and new chapters dropping regularly, Fragpunk continues to grow and get better and better with every update. But what was your favorite moment from the Invitational? And which team did you love the most? Let me know in the comments. And oh, before I forget, there is another really important thing that I learned from the Fragpunk champions.
Break the rules. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our journey here for the Fragpunk World Clash Global Invitational. Thanks so much for watching, and don't worry, you'll see me around.
Subscribe! You said it's the end.